Hi everyone, welcome to Blue Heron Hill. I'm Sue. No gardening today. It's snowing outside, but I just decided to put up this video because I've got to make something that I ran out of. A few days ago, I made a pork roast. Turned out delicious. And what I do with my roast, most of my roasts and my chicken, also is I use an herb salt as a seasoning on all over the roast and in the chicken underneath the skin, and it's fantastic. Adds so much depth of flavor. Well, I've run out. I knew I was going to run out way back in the summer, and I thought, oh, I really should make it, but I kind of ran out of time and kind of forgot about it. But now I'm in need. So this is what I have here. These are some of my ingredients to make my herb salt. So I thought I might share that recipe with you that I've put together over the years, and it adds great depth of flavor to all sorts of dishes. So I'll bring you down close and I'll show you what I'm doing with all these herbs and how simple it is to make an herbed salt. All right, here's the cast of characters, which I'm going to use for my herbed salt. So first of all, I have rosemary. This is from my garden, although the plant's been inside during the winter, but I take it out every single year. And I have a few other plants out there, but they don't make it because rosemary in my area is a very tender plant and does not withstand the winters. I used to live in North Carolina for a while, and I had a shrub that I would cut back severely every year. Oh, how I wish I had that climate to deal with. Another thing I have here, this is thyme, a couple different varieties in here. There's a lemon thyme and then just your regular garden variety thyme. This grows well in my area, even throughout the winter. So I have a bunch of, maybe about 4 mounds of thyme out there that I can harvest year round. And so that's what I did just this morning. This is sage, and I grow sage. It will come back for me in the springtime, but it dies down to the ground. I picked this last year in the fall and dried it. This here is garlic. I could use my garlic cloves if I wanted, but I had this, so I think I'm just going to use that. It's all powdered up. It was from last year's garlic crop that I dried and then I powdered. This crazy looking stuff looks like cooked spinach, but this is basil. When basil is just running rampant in my garden, I freeze a lot of it in ice cube trays. So this was just thawed out and squeezed, and I got as much of the moisture out of this as possible. Also, I have oregano. Oregano lasts from year to year, but it dies back down when it's hit by frost. So this was dried oregano from last year. And then, of course, we've got our, this is kosher salt. Any kind of salt, mostly non-iodized salt. You don't want to use any of that. Kosher salt, any kind of sea salt. So what I've started to do here in my food processor is strip the leaves off. I'm starting with my rosemary. Oh gosh, that smells so good. We want just the leaves, no stems. Oftentimes the stems are pretty bitter, so we want to leave that out of our herbed salt. So let me get this all stripped off. You can either compost these, or what I do is I save them, and when I roast a chicken, I'll put these in the cavity of the chicken. These still have some good aromatic flavor to them, and that's what I'll use these sticks for. And some people even use them as like kebab sticks. These are rather flimsy. I don't think that they would work very well, but still good for your culinary cooking. I wouldn't compost them quite yet. So I had about, let's see, 5 or 6 sprigs of rosemary. The measurements on this recipe are really pretty subjective. Whatever you like a lot of. If you don't like rosemary, leave it out. If you don't like sage, leave it out. I'm just gonna pull off just a bit of sage. Oh gosh, that's so fragrant. Just a tiny bit. I'm gonna put all of this basil in. This was actually 3 ice cube trays of basil. This looks to be about a 1/4 cup of chopped up basil. Okay. Garlic. Well, I love garlic. So I'm going to get, actually, I don't really even need to put this in here because really I'm just wanting to chop up those things that are large leafed. We'll get the thyme in here now. I do like a lot of thyme, so I will be putting a lot in here. Same with these little branches of thyme. They're still fairly aromatic, not as much as the rosemary, but you can also put those in the cavity of a chicken or your turkey or whatever else you're going to roast. This is a pretty little variegated thyme. Not sure. This might be the lemon thyme. I think it is. Each time I make the herb salt, the ratio is probably a little bit different. Now a little bit of the oregano. Probably about 1/4 cup of oregano. Maybe a little less. A dried herb always has more intensity than a fresh. Now it's being chopped up now, but I want it to grind a little bit more, so I'm going to put in some of my salt now. A coffee grinder would probably work a little bit better. Mine's not working all that well. I'm going to put a little bit of this coarse kosher salt in here, act as to help in the grinding. Oh, much better. There are still some stalks in here. Oh, much better. To take a look at that. That's a pretty good coarse grind here. I like my salt not so finely ground up, so I haven't put it all in here yet. A little bit more. Wow, that's perfect. Now I measured my salt beforehand, and I had 2.5 cups. So I think that will be pretty good. One last pulse. There we go. Now this way I have some coarse grains of salt and some finer grains of salt. I really like it when it's kind of coarse. Now I'm going to put in my garlic. Since I love garlic. There's a couple tablespoons of garlic in there. and one more brief pulse to incorporate that. Now we're ready. Now there's other things that you can add to your liking. I put the basil. You can put parsley, tarragon, celery, dill, bay, marjoram. The sky's the limit here. These are a few of the basic ones that I like, and the amounts they differ from batch to batch. But I'll put a basic recipe down in the description box below. So to go over the process, first I washed my fresh herbs and I patted them dry. You want the leaves, no stems. You can blend them up, the fresh ones, blend to chop, and then add your dried. Add a little bit of salt, grind it up so it helps with the grinding of all of the fresh herbs. And then if you like, add most of the coarse salt at the end with just a fine little pulse just to mix. Now we have to, it's a wet salt because of those fresh herbs still were retaining lots of moisture. So now comes the methods to dry. Today, I'm going to just dry it in the oven on a sheet pan. In the summer, I usually dry it on sheet pans outside because I don't want to heat up the house, and it works out just fine after a few days. It's just fine. So we're going to spread this out. Oh, there's some hard chunks of garlic here, I see. And this is going to go into the oven at about 200, 220, something like that. If you have a dehydrator, you can also put it in there. I only have one dehydrator sheet that will hold, has a lip that will hold this very coarse ground salt here. I have yet to purchase some other of those trays. So I'm just going to do it in the oven at about 220, maybe 200, 220. Your times are going to vary depending upon how much salt you have. But I would start at about 20 minutes and check it. Maybe at about 10, do a little stir, and then check it again at 20, do another stir, check it again at 30, and see how it is. You just want to put it in the oven until it's dry to the touch. So I'm going to put this in the oven, and when it's all dry, we'll be back. That's what it looks like when it comes out. Feels dry to the touch. I stirred it up about 3 times, and it seems to me it took maybe about 30 minutes. I'm going to let this cool down completely and then put it in jars. Here it is, herbed salt. This is one of my go-to seasonings that I use almost all the time. Another way to use it is mix it up in a little butter, and so you have an herbed butter. Of course, on the meats and the poultry, as I had mentioned before, as a rub, mashed potatoes, roasted potatoes, sweet potatoes even, on your veggies, on your pasta, even if you bake bread, sprinkle it on the crust of the bread. What else? Eggs in the morning, either in an egg scramble or a little dusting on your fried eggs. It's delicious. So, and the sky's the limit on this. So you can either add additional herbs into this, subtract herbs, have it more heavily concentrated in oregano or thyme or garlic. The sky's the limit here, so you decide. Thanks for following along on this video for herb salt. Next couple videos coming up are on my gardening journey here for 2024, and I hope you'll follow along with that. Press that notification bell when you want to be notified with my next video that's upcoming. So until the next time that we can go digging in the dirt, or really shoveling snow, or cooking in the kitchen. Thanks for following along. Bye.